We deliberate on your grade.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's short time, right? First of all, welcome everyone. Allow me to introduce my thesis topic. The name of the topic is the dynamic shaping mobile telecom industry and it's basically a comparative case study between Bangladesh and the Netherlands, right? So when I'm talking about presentation outline, I have tried to do something different. I put the same wine in a new bottle, right? Same thing. So I've divided my presentation in 3 segments. Why? That is, why did I do the research? How did I do the research? And what were the findings, right? Then all these 3 will help me to get into the conclusion, recommendation, and the future research. So moving on swiftly, why I did this research is very important, right? Well, one day, obviously the bulb light up. Let me give a brief background about about me. I have worked 2 years in telecom industry. So the topic itself is on mobile telecom industry. So work experience plays a great role in it. And as part of my job, I have to analyze trends, challenges, and understand the overall market dynamics. And from the literature review, I got to know there is a slow revenue growth. So I wanted to study the market as well. And at the same time, this study will help both the country's operators to understand the market and develop reciprocal strategies for entering the market. Yeah. So let's go to literature review, right? So talking about Bangladesh, we have right now 93.78 million subscribers active as of June 2012, and there's, on an average, there's month on month 8% growth rate. And at the same time, there's a dip in the revenue. That is strange a bit, yes. And there's a high syntax and ambiguity in terms of the license renewal and rules and regulation. And when talking about trends, I got to know from the literature there is a shift towards value-added services like 3G and other content services. Now moving on to the Netherlands, it's a small country, so the subscriber is 20.1 million subscribers. The subscriber is not going smoothly, it's going but slowly. At the same time, the revenue growth is also similarly going low. The rules and regulation is more liberal in this country. And when I talk about trends, there is a trend towards strategic partnership with UID application providers. Now, the unique thing about my study is, normally we recommend at the end. In literature review, I found proposed strategies for facing current challenges as well. So I have studied that. It's not that just because they say that I'm going to accept it, but I'm going to evaluate that well. Is what they are saying is true, but is applicable for current situation. So there has been certain strategies given. I'll discuss this in the recommendation part in detail. Now, there have been similar studies done, not a comparative study, but a study of industry has been done using Porter's 5 forces model. On Indonesia, Telecommunication Regulations Research Center has done that by Sira, the main researcher, and his colleagues. So where they try to come out like define the competitiveness, which has been found high, and at the same time, as the Porter model suggests, the profit is expected to be low, right? Now, all these things comes with problem definition. So as you see, in Bangladesh, there's a high subscriber growth rate is going up, but on the other hand, the revenue is going down slowly. Yeah. Similarly, in Netherlands, it's not like it's a bit uneven, but it's going up. At the same time, revenue is going down. So that leads me to the problem definition. I want to see what are the forces behind such a slow revenue growth rate in mobile telecom industry in both the countries, right? That leads me to the major research question. My major research question: explain and compare the dynamics shaping the mobile telecom industry in respective countries. When I'm talking about dynamics is something that the forces that drives the industry, the firms, performance, how they're going to perform. So I'm going to explain and compare that. And that will be with the help of my minor questions. My first 6 questions, which deals with normally what are the forces, why such scenario is there, what are the challenges faced right now, then existing rules and regulation. So first 6 questions will help me to answer the major question. And the last one is more of a recommendation. So where I'm going to see the prevailing challenges and respective solutions for such solving some problem. And my significance of the research is, obviously, I'm going to try to understand and study the forces that influences the industry, how to tackle prevailing challenges, and formulate future strategies for the respective operators. At the same time, one of the reasons I'm doing a comparative study is this paper will help the mobile operators in Netherlands and in Bangladesh to see the market being here, and if, for example, in future they want to go there to see how to tackle the challenges, it will help them to study that, to do that. And obviously, then it will work as a stepping stone for future studies. Now, how is this study done? I told you why I've done it. Now, pretty simple. As I said, order 5 forces you all know, but I have not used order 5 forces. I have used order 6 forces. There's been one additional force that is introduced. It's called complementars. Right? What is a complementer? Well, we all know CD players. We all know CD. Right? They're complementary to each other. How? If a sale of CD goes up, or demand goes up, in a way, it helps to sale of DVD player also to go up. Or other hand, if the sale of DVD player goes up, that means customer demands for more CDs more, so the sale of DVD goes up. So if it doesn't grow, the CD doesn't grow, the sale, it doesn't mean the business is going to be wiped off tomorrow, but if it grows up, it's like an enabling factor. It helps you to grow together, right? So you must be wondering why order 6 forces? We all know the 5 forces that it helps to analyze the market, determine the threats and competitiveness and all the other things. But one of the reasons I'm using 6 forces, the complementer is extremely important when I'm talking about an industry which relies on technology a lot, right? So an industry like telecom, it highly relies on technology. If other industries boom, my services can be offered much better. So this point is one of the very important points. It evaluates the industry which relies on technology. Now, my research method is a mixture of qualitative and quantitative. My qualitative data has been gathered from articles, various reputed research agencies on telecom industry, publications and reports by regulatory authorities, and data has been collected from wireless intelligence. It is one of the source for this is my quantitative data where more than 700 operators in the world provides their internal information to this organization. How I got it? Because I worked in telecom before, I have access to that, and this data is absolutely okay to use for research purposes. They mentioned it. And obviously that is collected from credible sources. And also I have taken interview of experts from both the countries, the two each, who are already working in telecom industry, so they can give me a vibe of what is going on right now, and what they think about it. So together, the reliability and validity is ensured. What were the findings, right? First of all, I'll give an overview of demographic comparison. Well, as you see, the area and the population is higher than Netherlands. But what I want you to focus on is the median age. It affects a lot on the users of the customers. Youth tends to use more data or more call, and the people who are a bit more elder tends to just use it for basic need, right? So at the same time, literacy is 56 in Bangladesh, and in Netherlands it's 99%. It's much easier for a telecom industry to communicate their offers and everything. So and unemployment is more in Bangladesh, so it affects somewhat in the usage as well. Now, if I look into the Hofstede study, I've taken part in the Hofstede study as well. I would like to focus on the individualism part, where in Bangladesh, where people are more group-oriented, a decision of purchasing a SIM card or everything, it relies on your friends and family. You ask them, hey, should I buy that? Should I don't buy that? And while in Netherlands, they're more individualistic, so they tend to take their own decision. Yes, they refer to their friends, but at the end of the day, they make their own decision. So the sale of the products and everything also depends on that as well. Now, first, threat of new entrants, right? In Bangladesh and Netherlands, if I compare side by side, you see there's high SIM tax in my country. There's ambiguity in terms of high license renewal fees. At the same time, there's limited spectrum available. That means there's almost no chance of new entrants coming in my country. There's already 6 operators, it's overcrowded. So in terms of that, the level is very low, level of threat for new entrants to come in. And for Netherlands, it's exactly the opposite. The rules and regulations is highly different. Government is promoting for new entrants to come in. So that makes the threat from new entrants very high. And at the same time, in coming, most probably in October, there will be a new spectrum auction. So they want a new operator to come in. So the threat is extremely high for the existing players. The bargaining power of the buyers, right? So if I compare again, you see there's prepaid and postpaid. Mainly the same, like one is contract and one is you pay every day and you recharge, all that. So Bangladesh is dominated by 98% is dominated by prepaid SIM cards and 2% is just contract. It's exactly the opposite in Netherlands. Netherlands is like 59% is contract, whereas 41% is prepaid. Now, this is very interesting. There's a syndrome called multiple SIM syndrome, where a user has more than one SIM. We have a lot of us here from the developing nations. This nature is this kind of characteristics is very familiar in our countries, where a person has 2 or 3 more SIMs. So this affects the revenue of the operators greatly. So in that way, it happens because of the similarity of the product. There's not much of differentiation. Whoever gives which offer, I go into that offer. But I have all the SIMs in my pocket. Even I have 2 SIMs, right? So that makes the level of trade high in both the countries from the buyer side. The buyer has a lot of power because you cannot differentiate the products very well. Now, looking into rivalry among the existing competitors, I'll give you an overview of like what's in Bangladesh and Netherlands. Right now, there's 6 operators in my country. If you see the Grameenphone, it had 42% of the market share, huge market share. And rest 2 is 2010-27, and rest 3 is still struggling. And on the other hand, in Netherlands, it's almost more or less the same. KPN has 49%, strong market share again, dominating. And whereas T-Mobile and Vodafone is sharing the rest of it. So it shows there's an unbalance in terms of market share, right? So there's an intense competition. I'll go into more detail. I have used HHI index, which allows you to see as the number goes lower in this index, it shows the intensity of competition between the players is higher. So it's one of the indicators, and it reflects on your effective call rate for the operators. Bangladesh has one of the lowest effective call rates, 0.01. You cannot go lower than that. You rather give it for free. And in Netherlands, the trend is going. It's not the lowest, but it's declining. So that's a good sign. It reflects on your revenue as well. How? ARPU growth rate. ARPU growth rate is going down. What is ARPU? Average revenue per user. How much revenue a user is giving to the company, right? At the same time, it affects in Netherlands as well. It's also going down. That's not a good sign. And why? Well, you want a good profit at the end of the day, right? So all this together shows that rivalry among the competitors, the threat is again high, guys. All right. Now moving on to the threats of substitutes. There is 2 kinds of substitutes in this industry. One is conventional, from players to players, where you can see the product differentiation, prepaid SIM cards, price 149, 149. Not much of difference. So it's like if you convert in euro, it's 1.5 euro. Hey, I can conventional substitute. Like a lot of us use smartphones, right? We have applications like Viber, WhatsApp, which allows you to send free messages and free calls. It's up your revenue. It's one of the main threats from the substitute right now in Netherlands. So it makes the level of threat higher again. Now, bargaining power of the suppliers. Who are my suppliers? Network infrastructure providers, right? The tower provider, IT service provider, content service provider. So actually the competition is so intense among themselves of the suppliers, they're not in a position to threat the operators. So at the same time, right now the Chinese are coming in, even in Bangladesh and even in Netherlands. Huawei and ZTE, these 2 companies are coming in the cheapest service offer, and the European companies cannot tackle it. Which if you see, I've taken an interview I've put some quotes of my interviewees. They have mentioned, like, look at this. They also see the Chinese coming in. That doesn't sound good, right? So that makes the level of threat from the suppliers low. Okay. Now moving on to influence of the complementers. So whenever we influence the complementer, it's like either it's positive, negative. So if I study both the countries, it's a bit different of the complementers. For example, in Bangladesh, there's content providers, more like SMS-based jokes, astrology, and all that. And smartphones are coming in my country. There's been almost 8% growth quarter to quarter, Samsung has reported. And there's been 53% growth in terms of call center coming in. So all the operators are outsourcing. So they help optimize the cost. Mobile banking is coming in. One of the major companies, Bcash. They have, in 6 months, they have 80,000 customers. And there has been 4,000 outlets in just six months. And on the other hand, the Netherlands is more mature and more developed in technology. We have SIM NFC, where your mobile phone is a credit card. Same mobile banking, right? But you just swipe it, money goes up. Something like this. It's SIM based. That ABN AMRO, ING are trying it right now to come up with it. Then cloud computing is a burning word nowadays. So cloud computing allows the operators to provide the customer with better service like content management and email CRM services as well. So this helps you to grow the business. And at the same time, all of us, I know my friend here, Dauti listens to Spotify. It's not like iTunes. It's something that allows you to listen to music for free. So mobile operators are allowing these kind of premium services through Spotify and Deezer. So this helps you to not the revenue to grow in a way, but it's more like customer engagement. It's something like it's better to have one eye than have no eyes at all, right? So coming all down to the conclusion, I'll review all the minor questions. At the end, I'll do the major questions. So minor questions, as you see, the government policies, power of customer, all these things are influencing my industry. But what is the differentiating factor here is, in Bangladesh, there's affordable substitute, conventional affordable substitute. In Netherlands, there's a high threat from fiber and WhatsApp. And at the same time, there's less challenge from new entrants in Bangladesh. There's high threat from the new entrants in Netherlands. So these forces really affect the industry in a large segment. And what are the reasons behind such a slow growth rate? One is obviously high SIM tax. If you have read my thesis, I've clearly mentioned what's going to happen, that if there is SIM tax and if there is no SIM tax scenario. And at the same time, there's multiple SIM syndrome I just explained. And to point it out is like the third one, the lack of set procedure, which is there's a huge ambiguity right now. There's a clear procedure in Bangladesh. So operators doesn't know what to do. They're scared of investing big capital in it. And whereas in Netherlands, there's lack of policies for supporting the existing players. One of my interviews clearly mentioned they're biased towards a new entrant. It's a very biased regulation. They're promoting everything to the new ones. Old ones, what they're gonna do? They didn't do anything wrong. They have to, at least they should get their money back, return on investment, right? And at the same time, there's high level of threat of UIP application like Fiverr and WhatsApp. And whereas you see undifferentiated PNS product and services. Now, what are the challenges? This is my research question 3. What are the challenges faced in the industry? There's a rigid government regulation, as I said, very strict, not clear, and intrackability of the customer. As a country, we lack in a social identity card, so you cannot actually track the customers. Like for contract service providers, you cannot track them, so that's a problem. And at the same time, as I mentioned, there's a bias regulation, high level of threat from UIP, and rest is more or less similar to the challenges. Now, moving on to the existing regulation, I asked my interviewees, what do you think of the existing regulation? Is it favorable toward growth? All of them, for both the countries mentioned, no, not at all. Existing regulation should be changed for better growth in the industry. And what are the emerging trends? I'm moving to my research question 5. One is smartphone is coming up, so it increases the data. But as there is no Wi-Fi available so much in my country, users are compelled to use data services from the operator, so it increases the data revenue. There's an increase in data usage. As mentioned in my thesis, clearly there's a trend going up. At the same time, outsourcing trend is coming up from call centers, mobile banking, and network sharing, where the operators share the network. So it reduces the investment cost. And at the same time, in Netherlands, there's a trend of UIP, we can mention on that. So what I'll highlight here is in-house application development. T-Mobile has come up with Join Us, which allows, it's something like WhatsApp, but it's their own, made by them themselves. So it allows the customer to engage. When you buy a phone from them, the application is already there. They don't download WhatsApp and other. So it ensures a revenue in a way. And there's a tie-up going on between the providers like Skype with T-Mobile. So there's a tie-up going on. So instead of fighting with them, join them. That's the strategy we're trying right now. And the complementers, well, I'll mention all the complementers. I'll just specify the industries. The mobile manufacturing industry comes from your smartphones, digital content industry, call center, m-commerce is from mobile banking. RFID industry is based on SIM, NFC, where RFID is inbuilt in a SIM card. And IT industry from the cloud computing. And music streaming service, that is Spotify. He loves that. Trust me. And if I compare using the Porter 6 forces, if you see, it's low, high, as I mentioned, and the expected competitiveness is mixed as per the framework. So the expected level of profit should be average. Well, whatever the model says, I don't have to take it for granted. I have my actual findings as well. Findings should say a bit different. Yes, the expected competitiveness is mixed, but the actual level of profit is low for Bangladesh, and it's low for Netherlands, and it's declining for Bangladesh. So you must be wondering, oh, this guy used this model. It says something else. Well, my model was not for deriving the profit and deriving the competitiveness. I wanted to see the forces that influence. This model helps me to do that. So in that way, I validate the model as well. Recommendation. So I told about the challenges. So if I just make it a summary of it, I have divided my recommendation in two segments for regulators and operators. For regulators, they have to be more. I mean, the syntax should be removed from Bangladesh, and there should be regulation so that it encourages the operators to invest more for long term, and there should be more transparent regulation policy development strategy. And when it comes to for the operators, for Bangladesh, it's very important that they should consolidate instead of being 6 players fighting for each other. Only one has profit, rest doesn't have even a break-even point. It's better to join together and share the market and share the profit as well. So, and as well as always is there, innovative offers should be there as well, tie-up. And government should try to, as a government, you should try to update the national identification system. The tracking is much easier, so the contract offers can be given. And when it comes to Netherlands, government should not only be focused on new entrants, they should also try making some policies for protecting the existing players. And high level of threat from VIP-based applications. So as I said, like if you can beat them, join them, partner with them, or use your own IT capabilities to develop some products. And partner with handset operators like iPhone, do something, or do it with Samsung. So no other operators can copy that. So, and at the same time, for operators, network infrastructure should be shared. They don't do that much in Netherlands. So it will help to reduce the investment cost. At the same time, targeting the right segment is very important, because when your median age is 41, you have to target the right segment. You as an operator, you cannot try to eat everyone. You have to focus which one you want, which one will give you more revenue. It's very important for them. And explore new revenue stream, as I said, like by using cloud computing and others. And now, I have not only recommended for the operators and regulators, I have recommended my framework as well. Whatever Porter says, I don't have to take it for granted. I have my recommendation as well. So, Porter should try to develop the model based on industry. Every industry is different. You just cannot say Porter 5 forces is valid for everyone, right? So, some industry has labor force a lot. So, there is a 6 complementary and union. So, Porter should try to adapt that. And they should try to, in the Porter main model, they should try to include the complementary and incorporating pestle model. Pestle model will allow you to look into the macro environment. You can ask me a question, hey, bureaucracy is going on, it affects as well. Yes, that model doesn't say, but if you introduce pestle and this together, it will help you to analyze how bureaucracy is affecting this industry. Just an example. And it's not only the external factors, a company can have internal capabilities as well. So internal analysis, something like VRIO analysis, should be incorporated, right? And it should be added as a total. It should be redesigned for analyzing dynamic market. Porter's model is very much static. This is natural, that's it. But it should be redesigned for dynamic market as well. And my future research, there's a lot of them. So one is like, obviously, it can be refined using incorporating other models. At the same time, Porter's national diamond model can be used for if KPL wants to go to Bangladesh, they can analyze that better. And research only on complementary industry. Just do it on cloud computing and mobile telecom industry. That's another research as well. So what are the benefits of partnering with Skype or fiber? That is another research. And the formulation of most suitable regulation, like for each of the countries, I research and done as well. Well, summing it up, all the operators I've seen, the subscriber is going up. It's not helping in my revenue. You're climbing a stairs, but actually you're going down in terms of revenue. So, it's my personal opinion from the research. The operator should try to come up with something which should be rare and cannot be imitated easily if they want to sustain growth in long term. So that leads me to the question: is there any question out of my presentation?
Thank you.
Yeah.